What's up everybody, thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Keelan and today I'm going to be giving you guys my review for Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. But before I get into that, I just want to say if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and most importantly, leave a like on this video if you haven't already. The like is the most important metric when it comes to the YouTube algorithm and it helps me out a ton and it costs you nothing, so please be sure to do so. And now that you've done both of those, let's get into the review. The synopsis reads as follows. After Christopher Robin abandons them for college, Pooh and Piglet embark on a bloody rampage as they search for a new source of food. I'd like to preface this review by saying that I did not have very high expectations going into this. I knew it was an independent film made on a relatively low budget, so my expectations were not high. I was not expecting some blockbuster quality or the quality you would get from a horror film backed up by a company such as Blumhouse. But I wanted to give the movie a fair shake, so I went in with very low expectations, and if I got surprised and it was better than expected, then I did. And if not, at least I wouldn't be disappointed. But I gotta be honest, this movie didn't really do much for me. That being said, there are a couple of things that I did like that I'd like to go over before I get into the negative parts of the movie. First and foremost, I'd like to say for being such an inexperienced cast, I actually didn't mind them too much. I was expecting it to be worse, but I didn't really mind it. You know, nothing too amazing or spectacular that really stuck out, but nothing so horrible that also stuck out. So it was neither up or down. It was just, you know, it was good. It was okay. You know, it sufficed. Now, one thing that did stick out to me was the set design for Pooh and Piglet's house and like the 100-acre woods. It looked very fantastical, and like there's parts where it has these vine arches, like tunnels that they're running through the outside of the house that Pooh and Piglet lived in, and their whole area and camp and stuff. I liked the way that it looked a lot, and it's supposed to have that grungy look to it, like animalistic, barbaric. So a lot of the inside of Piglet and Pooh's house and the where they were staying had a lot of TCM vibes, metal hooks and chains, and even some of the color grading that they used for these scenes were very like just grunge, dirty, and like yellowish. So I like that a lot. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised to find out that a good chunk of the budget that they had for this movie went to the set design because it stuck out to me. It looked really good. So kudos to them for that. Now, one thing that I'm sure a lot of people were kind of iffy about was the way that Pooh and Piglet looked, but not for me. It was something that I actually grew to enjoy. Piglet, not so much. I don't know. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. He was just cool to me, but I really liked the way that Pooh looked. Obviously, you can tell it's men with masks on. I mean, what can you do? They're running off a low budget. They weren't using CGI for it, but it didn't look horrible. I actually really enjoyed the way that Pooh's face looked. I'm not sure if it was like animatronic or with what methods they used to get this to happen, but even sometimes like Pooh's ears would wiggle and the way that the mask would smile and like smirk. It was really creepy at times, so I really liked that. And they also had like a bunch of honey oozing out of his mouth and his nose. It was just disgusting, but it looked really cool, especially in certain shots, the way that they framed it with the lighting and the way that they had Pooh looking. It was very menacing. So I really liked that part of the film a lot. It just made Pooh look disgusting and scary. But unfortunately, those are pretty much the only enjoyable parts of this movie for me. I'm gonna go ahead and get into the negatives. And before I say anything else, I just want to emphasize again that I really am trying not to be overly critical of this movie. I know it's an independent film running off of low budget, so I can't go in with the mindset that I'm gonna expect, you know, blockbuster quality from an independent film. But that being said, I still have to hold it to a standard, and I'm gonna be honest. And the thing that I think Blood and Honey suffers from the most is hollow writing. The story just felt so loosely put together, and some of the dialogue was very lifeless and unintentional, done with not a lot of purpose. There was even a specific part, which this might just be petty of me to call out, but I noticed it, and I've made short films in the past. I took a film class when I was in high school or whatever, and these are things that I would expect to see in those films in a high school class, not necessarily something of this caliber. But there was a scene where all of the girls are having a conversation outside this house they're going into, and there's like a 3-second shot where you see them walking towards the house, and then all of a sudden a girl goes, "Come on girls, let's go inside." It's like, no shit, you all are already there. Like, I don't know, maybe that's petty of me or very tedious to point out, but it just seemed pointless to say. Like, the action is already being done, we're seeing it happen. Like, maybe cut that scene back a little bit, just show them start walking off, don't even have the dialogue, don't waste the time, don't even let me hear it, because it just, as soon as I heard it, I couldn't help but notice like, well, that was kind of pointless to even say. It was silly to me. So stuff like that. And that's not the only case of that happening in this movie. There are multiple different times where I noticed something like that I was like, that's pretty silly. Like, they're talking about we need to find a weapon and stick together, and then 4 minutes into the movie the girl's like, I have a gun upstairs. Like, if somebody says weapon and I know I own a gun, I'm gonna remember I have a fucking gun. I don't know, just kind of silly to me. The writing didn't didn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, things were just being said to spend the time, and it wasn't purposeful enough for me. So I feel like the writing definitely had a very major negative impact on this film for me, and I'm sure a lot of people are probably going to feel the same way. And also, I want to point out some of the editing choices. There were some scenes where a character would be doing one thing and then it would skip to the next scene where they're in a completely different location. They're not even wearing the same piece of clothing. Nothing was said or shown would explain why that person even went that direction or chose, or how they even got there. Just, oh, I'm on the phone with my friend and then all of a sudden I'm in the woods and Pooh Bear is behind me. It's like, how did you get there? And what made you choose to walk into the woods when you were just calling your friend for directions and you had a car? Like, I don't understand that. So little things like that, they probably should have, maybe they were trying to cut down the time. I'm not sure, but maybe they should have edited it in a way that made the story seem a little bit more cohesive and make more sense, honestly. And the reason why I'm emphasizing the writing and the editing so much is because I get it. You're running off of a lower budget. You're an independent company. I can expel all of these things that I look for in normal mainstream films, but I can't expel the lack of quality writing. In my opinion, you need to nail the writing because that's something that's in your control. That's your creativity. You need money to be able to execute ideas. But as far as dialogue and the way that the story blends together, I don't think you need a whole lot of money to do that. You just need to be a better writer. That's why I'm going so hard on this specific point, is that this is in their control, and I definitely think that this could have been done 10 times better. Something else that really stuck out to me was the sound design and the music selection for certain moments in the movie. There was definitely times where it would have benefited from using some intense music, some tension building music or sounds or whatever the case is, anything to set the tone of the moment in the movie, but instead they had some like fantastical music playing with some strings in the back. It just didn't fit the vibe of what they were trying to, show us. So it kind of takes you out of it. And again, that's one of those things where if you're making a movie like this on a lower budget, you've got to nail those things. You've got to be able to at least grip me into the story, convince me as much as you can with what you have. And the atmosphere is just not quite there. It falls a little flat. It's very lackluster. So they probably should have worked on the sound design a bit more, because there were definitely times where they just failed to grip me where it should have, and it was just because the music was so off-putting. Now, with all that being said, I have read that they are in talks to make a sequel for this, and I'm not against it. I don't hate the idea, even though I just spent some time shitting on this movie. But here's why I'm interested. First off, the movie's made over $1 million box office on a little bit over $100,000 budget. So the movie made money. So just from a business standpoint, I wouldn't be surprised if they make the sequel. Now, personally, the reason why I wouldn't mind it is because this is garnering some traction. They might actually be able to get a bigger company to back them, to funnel more money into it. And if that's the case, they can maybe hire a co-writer, somebody with more experience to write with the other guy who wrote this movie. They can hire a better director. They can up the quality with more money. And I would be interested in that because I think they have a cool idea. It's just the execution. They didn't really have what you would need to execute this to the scale that you would need to in order for it to be a big success. But if they can get it successful enough to then funnel more money into it and up the quality, maybe hire on some more people that are more experienced, then I'm completely down for it. All right, and that's gonna do it for my review on Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Let me know what your thoughts are on the movie down in the comment section below. And also let me know what your thoughts are on this new trend of taking childhood stories and kind of horrifying them, kind of like the Grinch movie they did in December, and then now here we are with the Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey movie. I think they should keep on the trend. I've seen things about maybe a Peter Pan or a Bambi horror movie. I don't know about Bambi, but Peter Pan could be cool, but definitely bare minimum, let's get a sequel to Blood and Honey. I wouldn't mind. Let me know what your thoughts on that are in the comments below. And last but not least, make sure you leave a like on this video if you enjoyed my review. And with all that out of the way, I will see you next time. Take care, everybody.